There's not much more satisfying than to tear down the old and bring in the new. Especially in this case. This old farmhouse was an absolute mess. It was lived in by some folks that rented it for 30 years. And from the mess they made, it looked like they never took out the trash a single time. It's almost too nasty to talk about, but I think it's worth mentioning because it points to the importance of good infrastructure and the functioning parts of a home. Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of our Building a Straw Bale Home start to finish. This is Heirloom Builders, and I'm Logan Parker. Today we're going to be talking about demolition and waste management. The couple that rented this old home, it didn't have a working toilet, and apparently they'd abandoned the outhouse because they left bags and bags of human feces scattered all over the place. Talk about disgusting. This house was literally a show. They must have been heavy drinkers too, because the entire kitchen looked like a ball pit of empty beer cans. I mean, no joke. The kitchen was covered wall to wall with 3 feet of empty beer cans of Milwaukee's best. Ugh. So today we're putting all that mess behind us and tearing down this old house. Our demo crew is carefully removing the scrap metal, separating the brick and block, crushing up the wood by driving over it with this giant excavator so we can haul it away in a few loads as possible, and separating out the recycling in the meantime. When you tear down an old building, you need to consider a few important questions. How big is the structure? Because you may need a permit to tear it down and follow strict guidelines on how to manage the noise, the dust, and what to do with all the waste and debris. Do you have asbestos? Asbestos is a mineral fiber that's very strong and fire resistant, but and it was used in a lot of building materials in the mid 20th century, but it's super toxic if you inhale the dust. It's really important to inspect for asbestos before demolishing a building because there are tons of regulations and precautions around removing this material. When we inspected, we didn't find any when we inspected this building, so we are free to knock it down without having to take all those extra precautions. But make sure that you do. It's really important for the safety of your crew, the people around the demolition site, and just the environment in general. Do you have lead paint in the house that you're going to demolish? Most homes built prior to 1978 used lead-based paint, which can be toxic if inhaled or ingested, especially in small children. So make sure you get a crew that can deal with the lead paint or have the appropriate gear to remove that lead paint without getting it airborne or creating any issues. Another big thing when you're demolishing a building is make sure you disconnect the infrastructure like the sewer and the water, the gas and the power, so you don't cause an explosion or a sewer leak or a fire or flooding. These are major issues. So make sure to also leave the site safe. If you dig out if you excavate or dig out the foundation, make sure to backfill it appropriately so it doesn't create a sinkhole and create a hazardous work environment. Runoff and water management are going to be an important part if you're going to be disturbing a lot of land or a large site. You'll probably need to install some kind of silt fencing to prevent erosion of valuable soil and or toxic materials, depending on what you're demolishing. Check with your local jurisdiction on what you're going to need to do for a building permit or for a demolition permit. Fortunately, we had to hardly deal with any of this since our demolition project was pretty small and there wasn't any toxic material to deal with. But it's important to check. This old house is a prime example of how a lack of proper infrastructure can really limit your ability to live a clean and healthy life. So we're getting every trace of this old building out of here and starting with a clean slate. While I'm out here today, I'm going to get a few aerial shots with the drone so we can better plan out our driveway, our parking, and our infrastructure. This is going to give us a bird's eye view of the entire site so we can determine not only the flow of construction, the vehicles and the materials, where they're going to go, but how to tweak the house plans and situate the house for its best access to solar orientation for generating power, the best window viewscapes based on where the trees, the ponds, the gardens, and other points of interest are. Once we start building, there's no turning back, so we want to get these important details right, and now's the time. That's it for now, y'all. Thanks for watching. Make sure to subscribe on your way out, and stay tuned for another episode of Building a Straw Bale Home, start to finish, every Monday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Until then, peace out.